What is up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are going to be looking at the fantasy outlook of DeAndre Hopkins, the newly acquired receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, giving you guys an updated outlook of what we can expect from him in 2020. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for me for more videos like this one, and also check out our website, fantasyaddictionnetwork.com, for a full list of rankings. But not wasting any more time, let's get right into it and review what he did last year with the Houston Texans. A little bit of a downgrade in terms of his efficiency over the course of the past couple years, but still finishing as a very solid wide receiver one in fantasy. 104 receptions, 1,165 yards, and 7 total touchdowns. He did miss one game towards the end of the season in Week 17, but that was not due to injury. It was just due to rest. The Texans didn't have any reason to fight the Titans in that game and decided to let their star players rest. Fantasy points scored 269.5, which was fifth best, and 18 fantasy points per game, which was fourth best over the course of the season. Now, started the year out a little bit rocky, had a really good week one against the New Orleans Saints in that shootout, and then had 3 down weeks in a row. This was the week, obviously, to go out and buy him, and I I know I most certainly attempted to do that in every league that I was in, and it ended up paying out in the long run. You know, when you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, if he is having a slump, it's going to turn around. So he turns that around and goes for a massive string of really productive games, a couple weeks where he finishes as top six, a couple other wide receiver 1 weeks, and really giving you a floor of about 15 points over that stretch of 10 games. Now he did finish week 16 with an unfortunate 7.3 point game and a very weird game with Tampa Bay and Houston. A very annoying game that Carlos Hyde had to keep stealing touchdowns. I'm still a little bitter about it. I'm sorry. I hate Bill O'Brien so much. Which I'm looking forward to everyone laughing at Bill O'Brien once DeAndre Hopkins goes off and helps the Cardinals ascend while the Texans fall into irrelevancy. Feel bad for the Texans fans. You guys deserve better than Bill O'Brien. You got to get him out. We'll have this conversation another day. This is going to be a story that's going to continue to be talked about until we actually see it in action. And I'm pretty excited about what DeAndre Hopkins can do. However, I am a little concerned about what he's actually going to do from a fantasy perspective this year because we probably can't expect him to have the same target volume that he did in Houston. He had 150 targets, which was fifth most amongst wide receivers. He's going to command a lot of targets. Don't hear what I'm not saying. He's going to a team that has some of the most vacated targets in 156, and he's playing with a Kyler Murray that is very accurate deep down the field and definitely needs a boost in his touchdown efficiency in the red zone. My main concern is Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald are both still there. They both commanded over 100 targets last year. I don't imagine that their volume is going to go down drastically, especially with a second year quarterback. He's going to want to continue playing with people he's familiar with as well, even though I'm sure he will target DeAndre Hopkins a lot. We're not expecting him to get his 150 targets that we've grown accustomed to over the past couple years. He also had a 30.9% target share in that offense, which was second most in the NFL. We're expecting that to drop a good bit. His yards per reception and yards per target last year actually took a pretty big dip. He finished with 11.2 yards per reception, which was 78th in the NFL, and 7.8 yards per target. His target quality rating was pretty poor. A lot of that, I believe, was due to Deshaun Watson just constantly being under pressure last year. Terrible offensive line there in Houston. Again, Bill O'Brien does not like Deshaun Watson from a perspective of trying to protect him as a general manager and getting him some offensive line help. Doesn't believe in doing that. So sorry, Deshaun, but at least you had a good run with DeAndre for a while. DeAndre was able to turn that poor quality rating into a poor target quality rating into a true catch rate of 88.1%, which was 16th best in the NFL. Just showcasing how good this guy is able to turn crap into gold. His target accuracy was also pretty bad, 7.13, which is 38th worst or 38th best in the NFL. So all that being said, we think DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a really good year, but if his targets drop to 120 just by nature, even if he's more efficient on those targets, we expect his yards per reception and yards per target to go up slightly. We expect his efficiency to be higher playing in this offense, but with the decrease in volume, it is going to hurt his fantasy upside a little bit. We do still have him rated very high. Right now we have him getting 90 receptions, about 15 less than he was receiving this year, but getting pretty similar to the same receiving and rushing yards total, 1129. And then the total touchdowns is the one where there's going to be the biggest volatility swing. DeAndre Hopkins has been the closest thing, he and Devontae Adams have been the closest thing to being able to actually project touchdown volume. For the most part, touchdowns are kind of random year in and year out, but DeAndre Hopkins has commanded a lot of work in the red zone, and we're expecting him to do so again with Kyler Murray, but we would be remiss to say that last year Kyler Murray was pretty poor in terms of turning the ball into touchdown efficiency near the red zone. So if that continues to be a trend and Kyler Murray ends up running a lot of the touchdowns into the end zone and doesn't throw as many, if his touchdown total goes down, that'll definitely hurt his upside. So we're already expecting a target decrease. We don't have that projected. We do expect Kyler Murray to take a step forward with DeAndre Hopkins there. He should be able to throw more touchdowns this year, but I feel like 9 or 10 touchdowns is probably his ceiling, and it definitely could be lower than that, which would definitely hurt his upside. So we're probably not as high on DeAndre Hopkins as most people will be. Probably means we're not going to end up with him on most of our teams. And historically, wide receivers that transfer teams in their first year with their new team don't typically do better in terms of fantasy production that first year. So it's safe to expect a little bit of a statistical regression for DeAndre Hopkins, even if it's only minor. I do think he'll still be a very fantasy relevant player, and you might even be afforded the opportunity to trade for him if he starts the year off slow again, developing rapport with Kyler Murray, because by the end of the year, he should be very, very involved with that team, and still expecting a fantasy wide receiver 1 output, but not. We don't think he has the range of outcomes to be the top receiver like he typically does heading into the year. So hence why we probably wouldn't spend an early second round pick, which is where he's going right now in ADP. But doesn't mean we don't love him, and definitely going to be someone we're going to try to acquire in trades. Just probably not worth the price right now that you're having to pay for him to get him in drafts. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit me up in the comment section below if there's any other players you want me to take a look at. We're going through all 32 NFL teams, and be happy to go back through and give an outlook for someone that we missed. So let me know in the comment section below if you'd be interested in that. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.